in addition to other critical IT laws incorporated into the biannual FITARA scorecard. The scorecard holds agencies accountable for improving their IT postures. In practice, the scorecard is a tool for Congress and the public to ensure better cybersecurity, reduce wasteful spending, and make government service to the nation more effective. Throughout this pandemic, we've come to realize how vital agile IT and strong IT governance are to the success of the federal government in meeting the needs of the people we all serve. Today's hearing will discuss the results of the 12th iteration of the FITARA scorecard. This hearing will also focus on how Congress and the administration can work together to improve services to this nation. We'll examine how we can effectively modernize IT across the federal government, including making changes to administration guidance and adding new oversight metrics to the scorecard itself in order to hold agencies accountable for transforming how government does business. Today we'll also hear for the first time from the new federal CIO, Claire Martorana, about the administration's federal IT priorities, including how it plans to administer the recent $1 billion Technology Modernization Fund approved by Congress. And additionally, we'll hear how she plans to prioritize projects to retire legacy federal IT systems, to accelerate agencies' transition to emerging technologies, improve federal cybersecurity, and to implement actions from lessons learned from the pandemic. The fact that Ms. Martorana is, am I pronouncing that right? Martorana is here today is a clear indication of the Biden administration's commitment and recognition of the significance of FITARA and federal IT investments themselves. Since the December 2020 scorecard, 4 agencies, FITARA scorecard grades increased, 2 decreased, and 18 remained unchanged. Nearly all agencies received a passing grade. Unfortunately for some agencies and in some categories, progress has slowed. I hope to hear from our witnesses in OMB about transcending the hurdles to improved IT and to ensure efficient IT acquisition and management practices. We must continue to strive for the dividends reaped from modernizing legacy IT systems, migrating to the cloud, and maintaining a strong and robust and protective cyber posture. Despite some backsliding, the scorecard demonstrates continued improvements in many categories. Since the scorecard's inception in 2015, agencies have made substantial positive strides in improving their information technology practices. For example, historically, agencies have reported that poor-performing projects are often broadly scoped and aim to deliver functionality several years after initiation. FITARA, however, requires agency CIOs to ensure that IT investments are adequately implementing incremental development practices and that functionality is timely. Since 2015, the portion of agencies' IT projects implemented incrementally has risen from 58% to 78%. Among the FITARA scorecard categories with the greatest impact on taxpayer savings is the IT portfolio review process known as Portfolio Stat. Since 2015, the amount of money agencies have reportedly saved, including the costs they've avoided as a result of their Portfolio Stat effort, has risen from $3.4 billion to $23.5 billion. This increase includes $1.3 billion related to eliminating duplicative software licenses and about $7 billion in savings on data center consolidation. I might add, parenthetically, this committee will insist that the law be complied with in full. The law circumscribes how data center consolidation is to occur, and we will not suffer any dilution in the idea of data center consolidation or in the metrics surrounding it. We will insist the law be complied with. And if necessary, on a bipartisan basis, I believe we are prepared to pass additional legislation for clarification if that is needed. Hopefully it won't be. I look forward to hearing from our witnesses on how they can continue to save taxpayer dollars while also ensuring agencies improve and fortify their IT infrastructures to better serve the public. In addition to modernizing and acquiring the right technology, agencies must fill the skills gap in IT positions across the federal government, a big challenge. Our federal IT workforce is rapidly aging into retirement. As of March of 2021, 3.3% of the federal government's full-time IT employees were under the age of 30, 3.3%. 52.5% were over the age of 50. Federal agencies must focus on recruiting and hiring young IT professionals with the knowledge and skills needed to address the technology challenges of tomorrow. At the very first FITARA hearing, former Department of Transportation CIO Richard McKinney stated, IT is no longer just the business of the CIO, it's everybody's business. Never has this been truer or clearer than in the wake of the coronavirus pandemic, where IT saved thousands of lives by enabling telework and keeping the government and the economy running. We've seen firsthand how the agencies that continued to use outdated IT during the pandemic struggled to serve the very people who rely on them. Some agencies remain marred in backlogs, including the National Archives and Records Administration, which failed to digitize critical veterans' records. And we're now paying a price for that. The Archives now reports a years-long backlog in providing veterans access to records that qualify them for medical treatment, unemployment assistance, home loans, and student loans. That's why I joined the ranking member, Mr. Heiss, in urging the National Archivist to apply for IT modernization funds so government can keep its commitments to our nation's veterans. Unfortunately, NARA is not the only federal agency plagued by legacy IT systems. Congress and the administration must work together to prioritize IT modernization across the federal government. With the Delta variant on the rise across the country and vaccinations flatlining, the stakes for effectively implementing FITARA are higher than ever. When executed well, government IT modernization can ensure the efficient delivery of critical services. It can improve the government's knowledge and decision-making and save lives. When executed poorly, it leads to outright failures in serving the American people when they need the government the most. And we've seen that, too, in the pandemic. Simply put, the fate of the world's largest economy actually rises and falls, in part, with the ability of the government IT systems to deliver in an emergency. The importance of federal agencies' effective use of IT is too great to ignore, and this subcommittee won't waver in its continued oversight of agencies' IT acquisition and management. And I might say this is our 12th scorecard hearing. I don't believe there's another committee in Congress that can match this record on a single piece of legislation in terms of oversight. That's how committed we are and have been on a bipartisan basis throughout the years. And of course, the co-author of FITARA, Mr. Issa, will be joining us a little bit later in this subcommittee hearing, and we're very pleased to have him back. So with that, Chair recognizes the distinguished ranking member, Mr. Heiss from Georgia, for his opening statement.